So there was this, well, I don't know if I should be saying this, but
Go ahead.
there's a social media CPA guy that keeps talking. Actually, there are plenty of them. All right, so there are plenty of them. So one of them was doing a webinar one day. So I pulled in Meg, one of my tax managers, and I was like, bro, let's attend this thing. He's like, all right, no problem. He's like, what do you want me to go? I said, let's just attend it. This guy talks a lot. There's got to be something we are going to learn from this guy. And he was listening. And then we started listening to that. He's like, well, that's not right. Like, you've got to do. Yeah, that's kind of correct. I'm like, bro, you know way more than this guy that's got 2 million followers. I did that on purpose because I wanted to show him.
Boost your confidence.
Yeah, to show him that you guys know this stuff.
For our audience out there, beyond the grind. I mean, I think it's good for us to tell our audience what it's about, right?
It's intro, yeah.
Right, yeah. So I mean, the goal really is for us to inspire and empower people to build wealth and achieve their goals through engaging and relatable conversations, right? I know there's plenty of topics that are burning that we want to talk about. Yeah. So
it's a book that tells you kind of how to crush your goals, and it's like, instead of, like you said, I'm here to lose 10 pounds. It's like, nah, don't do that.
Yeah.
First goal is to go to the gym 2 days, or get up at 8 a.m. The next goal is to get up at 8 a.m. The next goal is to get up at 8 a.m.
Increments.
Don't ever think about the end goal. Just think about the next goal. And it's said to set your goals based on routines you already have. Instead of being like, I'm going to get up every day at 6 a.m., say I'm going to, or I'm going to go to the gym at 5 p.m. or whatever. I'm just going to go right after work.
Yeah.
So after work, right after I get to work, I know I get off at 5. I know it's going to take 30 minutes of traffic. That'll put me around 5:30. But I'm going to go after work and before dinner time. It has to be between two established routines. It's easier to make, keep that up versus just making a random routine.
And that actually makes sense because making it increment, like realistic, rather than a whole 360 change. Because think about it, right? I was just telling you about the fasting that we're doing. This is the first time that I'm having to fast with technology, right? What? So they're like, yes, give up TV, give up social media, give up everything. And 7 p.m., I'm like,
that's hard. That's hard.
I'm like, man, why is time go so slow?
You giving up? Well, I mean,
just go tell you guys the truth about fasting. I don't know about all those weird fasting. I'm an old school Niger fasting type of guy, from sun up to sundown, and you fast from food and you keep it moving.
That's actually easier than doing what he's doing.
Yeah. I think for me, maybe it would have been, okay, rather than watching TV for 3 hours, maybe watch TV for 2 hours, right? And then slowly,
instead of a cold turkey,
boom.
I don't watch that much TV, so it was easy for me. It was I did a social media. I got off social media for I think 9 or almost a year, I think.
Yeah.
And because somebody told me, you can't stay off social media. I was like, what? Don't tell me I can't do nothing. Dropped it that day cold. And then, that's hard. That's the hardest one. If you're also, especially if you do business stuff.
It's exactly.
Because you want to check up what's on the business.
Yeah.
And I was like, but my whole news feed is curated. It's actual news. I got to go to
time working.
I got to go to CNN.com and Yahoo News or ESPN. I can't just follow ESPN and get, I can't go to my Twitter. I'm like, what is this? How do people do news? Where's the newspaper?
Times have changed.
That was hard actually, but I feel you on that.
So I don't think we should minimize the impact of that newness. Whether it's a new age, whether it's the new year or whatever, we always have these moments that wake us up.
Yeah.
All right. But then what do we do with that?
Right.
Yeah.
It needs to be something that, like you said, smart goals, or something that is easy for you to maybe even have an accountability partner.
That's the key.
Helping you with some of these things that you're trying to do, and taking it baby steps at a time, rather than trying to do hey, I'm going to lose 50 pounds by 1 month, okay, no problem.
One thing I realized about myself is a lot of the time when I'm making a resolution, or if I want to set a goal, I purposely don't look for an accountability partner because I know I'm going to slack.
Yeah, no, that's what
You're giving yourself some room, you know. You're giving yourself some
I
room.
might not be feeling it.
you know. That's how I used to study. If I wrote it down, I'll forget it. If I didn't write it down, I won't forget it.
Wow.
I have to force myself to remember it.
Huh.
Because then I don't want to. If I know I'm not gonna remember it. If it's something I absolutely don't care about,
Yeah.
I have to write it down. But usually, if I'm studying, I'm like, I gotta learn this because I'm not about to write it down because I'll lose this paper.
One thing about me, I think I like to tell people my goals, and that's also something that
Helps
could trap me.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
it's like
he was going to do that.
you know, actually, I was at a book club that they invited me
that I
to,
told you I thought we were gonna
and
do.
then what do you call it? And you know, I was saying that hey, in 2025, I want to learn how to play the piano. Like at least I need to be like a mediocre-ish player. And somebody picked it up, and they're like, I'm gonna hold you to it. I wasn't trying to have you hold me to it, but but yeah. So that is one of my goals. Hopefully, Shabak is gonna help me out there. We'll see.
I mean,
Make it happen.
yeah, I do like doing the quarterly goals because I just say like, look, these are my 3 goals for the year. But it's not like I'm gonna do this. I'm just like, look, by March, I have to make steps to hit this, and if I don't hit it, on to the next one. Because like I just feel like people dwell on failures rather than plan for the new success. So I just go hard for the 3 months, hit the goal. Hopefully, I hit the goal, and if I have hit whatever my fitness goal is by March, you're already in a groove, and you just maintain it throughout the year and add the next goal. For the next quarter.
Yeah,
and so
layer it.
So exactly. So if I don't hit it, I'm like, yeah, I did it, and this ain't really what I want. I'm gonna reevaluate and do the next goal rather than feeling bad about myself. But I didn't hit it.
I'm curious about this though. I want to get you guys' perspective. So you have different types of people. You have some people that look at things from a holistic perspective. So they're going to set spiritual goals.
Right.
They're going to set business goals, personal goals, those type of things, right? And then you have people that are so anal focused, like, you know what? I don't want any distraction. This is the one goal that I want to set. And I'm going to make sure that everything that I'm doing ultimately is to help achieve this goal. What do you how do you guys feel about that? And what do you guys think is the best approach?
You go first.
Yeah, I think that's a little tough. A lot of us, I mean, all of us here, we're all married.
Yeah.
Have businesses, work, and all that stuff. So saying that you just have one goal, I don't know. It sounds interesting to me. I can't have one goal.
I'll say what I'm saying. It puts a lot of pressure to succeed on that goal, unless it's one thing that's like a career change, right? Or like, my goal is to spend more time with your family or whatever. Most of those, or to be healthier, like something more like, I guess, like not necessarily like this is what I'm doing, one thing, that where other things to feed in it. If you don't set it a goal such as like it gives you room to like pivot, and when you're gearing everything to its one solid purpose, it sets you up for failure because things don't go as you plan. So I feel like other than like, I'm gonna make a conscious effort to spend more time with my family. So that means I gotta, every day I'm done at 5. You gotta call me
and
tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. You're still with
that's something you can have ways to do that, or like, I'm gonna switch careers by, like I'm gonna start taking this course. That's my first, you know what I mean? But if you're like, hey, my sole purpose is to, I can't even think of an example, but it's just difficult because things are getting in the way.
Get a promotion. Let's say
get a promotion. You don't get it, then what?
The reason
so many things are not under your control to achieve that, but there are things that you can do that with.
Yeah, and I think that's where I wanted to go, because running my business Zazu, as a leader, you want everybody to be on the same accord, right? So saying that by the end of the year, we want to have onboarded 100 merchants, and everything that we're doing in the company is solely towards that, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to personal goal, I think it's unrealistic to be able to do that, because we're not just,
so many things.
There's so many aspects to us, right?
Yes.
We have our business, we have our job, we have our family, we have our friends.
Yes.
So trying to, because I've seen some folks that want to run their personal life like it's a business, and that's
it only works so much.
It doesn't really work out.
It's hard. It's just
I've tried it and it doesn't.
I tried it. It breaks stress. You know, I mean, even in business things change, but at least there's some kind of schedule. And like, I think like you can run your personal life on a schedule, but you can't run it like it's a business, because when it's a business, your business, you go home, you detach, right? So when you do that, people who do that, to me, I feel like they have control issues. So they end up making themselves more anxious when things are not in their control.
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes, yes, you want to control as much as you can, but sometimes you can't control. You just got to roll with it and be like, move on to the next thing and start again tomorrow. But some people are fixated on their lack of control in that area, that it like gives them anxiety from work to home to work to home. And there's never any relief. So I'm big on,
even when they're on vacation.
Yeah, you know, I think I'm more type B personality. I'm very focused and hardcore on certain things, but at certain times there are things that you've done your complete best and you can't control.
Yeah,
you just gotta let it go. What are you gonna do? Be stressed about it all day? You know, like, and I don't know if the people who don't allow for that room in their personal life, it just seems like very stressful to be that way. You know.
So if I want to play devil's advocate, right? Since I know we as Black people, we're very, we're go-getters, right? And a lot of us, we want to make more money to be able to support our families. A lot of us got families in Nigeria that they're asking for money every day, right? So what do you say to that person that, says, you know what, I got to stay focused. And my goal this year is to make $50,000 extra or $100,000 extra than I made last year, and every other thing is a distraction. What do you say to that person?
They don't have a family. They don't have a family, and they go burn those.
It's hard. So you're saying that you can do that, but you cannot have a family.
Yeah, if you're
friends.
That means your family's a distraction. Right? Your friends are you know what?
By making them I
have a friend.
You gonna keep that 50,000?
It depends on the stage where you're at in your life.
I mean, for some families it works, right? If that's the way it's always been, then that's always, well, man. Some of us, we know people who grew up with parents where they were never close to their dad because dad was always at work, and it was just understood, and mom understood this, and they barely saw him, he was gone, whatever. But then you grow up and you're like, bro, where were you at?
Yeah.
I'm just learning who you are, and I'm 35. Like,
I've had people say, oh, I need to make $30,000, and the question I'll ask is, how?
What are the plans?
No, I usually ask him, like, do you realize that this is going to impact other areas of your life? Have you considered that? And they don't think about it. But then at the end of the day, if you focus so much on that money, then what are your values to begin with?
So I have a friend who's actually going through that, and he can only do that because, one, he works in sales. He's like, I got a goal to make this switch. I'm like, that's cool. And he was like, he basically removed himself from our group chat. I'm not joking. He removed himself. He was like, it's a distraction. So I need to get on this. I could have done better. I didn't get to this. I kicked it for this person. There's no point in being in a group chat. There's no point in being in social media. I don't need to go to any of those things. If it's not for work, I don't need to. Like, that's his goal.
But did he achieve the goal though?
No, he was within 3. He was very close. And he's like, this year I'm gonna get it, And
but sometimes it's
I guess in the short term, if that's what he wants,
short time is.
Then I was like, are you not gonna talk to anyone? Like, how's your mental health?
Think about where we're coming from as Africans, right? It's like you're judged simply by your accomplishments or what your ability to provide. Yeah. And sometimes, I don't want to. It sucks to say this, but with Africans, there's a lot of comparing yourself with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody. You see somebody with a Tesla.
Cousins.
Oh, I got to go get me a G-Wagon. You see somebody with a G-Wagon. Oh, I got to go get the next best thing.
Please, yourself.
I think that's a Black thing in general. To be honest, yeah.
I think it's a human thing, actually. It's because of
I don't know, man. I feel like
no. I'm serious. Like,
no, it is. It is.
It
is, but it's more prevalent in the Black communities. Because I have a lot of, I say this again, I have a lot of Asian friends who, they don't care what you got. They rather like no one know what they got. and they're home chilling with their money.
But what if I told you it's a value thing?
Splurging on their stuff, and they don't care. Matter of fact, they want to know that they save the most amount of money on stuff.
That's true.
And then they'll be like, where are you at? I was in Japan, Vietnam, I was in Europe. Dang, you spent like $40K on that trip? Yeah, I gotta live life. They care more about the experience of life than to stuff, and they won't even post nothing on their social media. You wouldn't even know they did any of that.
That's me.
And I said,
that's me.
This is how it should be. He's like, well, and one of my friend who's the wealthiest, you would not know he's the wealthiest unless you knew him.
Yeah.
Nowhere on any social media, any social gatherings, he's stunned. He's like, yeah, I know how much he makes because, I do his marketing. I do this, I do that. I'm like, yeah, you're like the only one who doesn't stunt. He's like, who cares? Like, what am I impressing?
But it goes back to my point that it's about what you value.
Yeah.
So some people value experience while some people value
things.
Things.
Yeah, things.
So whatever you value is typically what you tend to, steer towards. So
correct.
Well, who doesn't like nice things?
Yeah, but
I think I'm less on the things.
Yeah, man. I like experience, bro.
There's a spectrum on the nice things. I mean, you're not.
I like nice things, but I feel like, okay, so I know grown men that are still like sneakerheads at like 50, 40, 50. And I'm like,
is that a bad
all your money, all your money goes to sneakers.
But what if what if they're a watch person?
No, I mean, at least that appreciates.
Are you saying those Air Jordans don't appreciate?
I mean, everybody got the Air Jordans, Like, I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying that's what they put their value in it. And I'm like, bro, like, are you going to sell these sneakers and get money off of them? If not, is this just bringing you happiness or is he bringing you anxiety? If it's bringing you anxiety, you need to go to therapy and cut it. If it's bringing you happiness, then do it.
Ultimately.
But most people brings them anxiety, to be honest. They like really be stressing about their shoes all day.
Yeah.
I wore these. It's cold. You got some grocery bags, bro. I think it's raining today. I literally, one of my homies, he had his Jordans mint condition, and he was like, I think it might rain. He was rolling out for the day,
and he
took him off and walking socks and socks. But and he was like, man, like, and then he got in the car. I was like, well, what are you doing when you get in the car? I had to take my socks out. I was like, why? He was like, because now they're dirty. They can't get in the shoes dirty. And I was like, that's not even enjoyment anymore.
No,
that's stress. And I get it. I'm like, if you collect it just to collect it, that's one thing.
I mean, collect it,
he wants to wear it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you like you said, you pour money into. I'm not a things person. I like nice things, but it's not my goal.
Yeah.
I think the gem in on earth is people. So I like to hang out with people and experience things with people and have fun. I'd rather go hang out with my homies or go on a trip with people than buy a whole bunch of things. So that's just
it's
me.
all about what you value.
You can't take it when you die.
So when's our next trip then?
I check with the wifey
That's
first.
true. Yeah,
Oh, Lord.
that's true.
We are not going to talk more about that one.
Yeah.
All right. But as the year just started, I know you guys mentioned you guys are entrepreneurs and all that stuff. What are the things that you're doing to kind of kickstart your year for your businesses?
Whew. We just had some marketing meetings and some communication and some training as far as like just quality service meetings and kind of get everyone on the same page, make sure everyone's happy, and change the schedule so everyone's not stressed, because it's like there's a fine line. I think they said you can be understaffed and overworked for 3 months. After that, it doesn't matter how much it doesn't matter how much more you pay them, they're going to start dropping out, like statistically. So 3 months so I'm trying to make sure everyone's not overworked, not stressed, nothing like that. I always check up on them. So that's something that I'm trying to revisit. But for me personally, it would be, doing a lot of marketing and changing my schedule so I have more time. Because I'm thinking like, as people in my field, their backs are hurting from punching over everyone forever, and I'm like, this can't be life. I can't do this forever. I'm trying to be one of y'all. You know what? It was a snow day. I'm gonna work from home today. I'm trying to be one of y'all. like if it's a snow day, we just ain't working. We not getting paid. So, but how about you, man?
I think because I look at it from different angles, right? So when I sat down and I started to do my retrospective in terms of how the year went last year, the major thing that I realized is that there was a lot of inefficiencies in my operations.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you don't realize how much that costs you.
So much.
Especially from a time perspective.
Yeah.
And you have this vision of specifically what you want to accomplish. And one of the hardest things to do is to find people that not only understand your vision, but can also help you with execution. Because if you're the only one that can execute your vision, there's going to be constant stagnation.
You gonna have a problem.
If you could find every successful business, they say it starts with the person, but some of it is a lot of luck.
Yes.
I have a friend who he'll tell you, he's like, I mean, I'm a good boss, but honestly, he was like, you do more than me. He was like, I just got lucky. Like my first 2 employees were excellent. They've been with me for like 8-9 years, and they recruited people like them because they only hang out with people like them. Yeah. So they hired all my people, and they're all their homies. Yeah. And he's like, and they're all like good, hard workers. They're very, obviously they're not perfect, but he was like, honestly, and I was telling him what we do for training. He was like, I didn't do that. She brought that from the previous organization she worked at. So she knew how to train everybody and train me on how to do stuff. And so like, there's some people like feel like they're just that good at business and that's why they're successful. I'm like, no, that's not always the case. Because we have a friend who he was killing it at one location and he was like, yeah, I'm good at this, He was like trying to tell me something like, bro, you have no competition. Like I was trying to tell him that, but he was like, no, like, if you try to like, I'm trying to tell you, I'm in the center of a big city. You are in the middle of nowhere. You have no competition. Yeah. Open a second location. It's so he was just bleeding the whole year. He was like, I was like, you thought wrong. I try to tell you, like, you think you know everything. There's some of it is luck. Some of it is luck.
Yes, some of it is luck. So there's this book that I would recommend for the audience to look at. It's called Traction by Gino Wickman.
Yeah.
That book changed my life from an operational perspective, right? Because a lot of times when you're running your business, if you have yet to set standard in terms of how you run your meetings, how you hire people, like people don't realize that when you're hiring somebody, it's not just hiring the right person or the right skill set. You need both. The right person from the standpoint of, does this person fit within the company culture? Because
culture
you can be skillful, but if you don't fit into the culture, bruh, it's a waste. It's toxic. Or you can fit into the culture, but you're not skillful, so you can't execute. So I'm going to be the one doing the work anyway, right? I feel like to take your business to the next level, ultimately would depend on the people that you have surrounded yourself with.
1,000%. Oh yeah. I think so. My friend introduced me to this culture index, and after I did that, no joke, I shuffled my whole staff. I was like, they're like, I want to be this. I want to be this. Like, nah, you need to do this. They're like, I want to do this. Nope, you need to do that. I'm talking about switched everybody. Yeah. And now, like
in the roles that they play in the
literally, like, I think I'm gonna do coding and billing. No, you're gonna be a assistant.
Because now you're making data-driven decisions.
You're gonna be a laboratory tech. No, I don't like that. Trust me, you like it. I was like, you don't know yourself. I know you. Now they're all happy. I just rather do this. I didn't know I liked this. I'm like, you thought you wanted to do this, but you took this test, and 85% or 80% of you is telling us you need to be doing this. Yeah. And so it's a test called a Culture Index. It tells you how it just breaks down everybody, and it's to the T.
Send it. Put in the show notes.
I don't hire, like literally, I don't hire one person without it. Like when they interview, I'm like, and it shows you how they'll fit into it'll tell you what their personality dictates, and then what they feel like their level of stress in their current job. So you can put them in some, because you may be this level of stress or feeling like your job demands more on you than you require. And then I stick you in this job that you feel like demands even more than you require. Yeah. And like I had someone who I looked at the thing, I was like, hold on. She thinks this job is easy. Yeah. Oh, you need to be over here. You her boss now. And he's just like, I love bossing everybody around. I love telling everyone what to do.
I need to check that thing out. I need to check it out.
And to touch on that, right? Because one thing I've noticed from what you're saying is once you've been able to identify the people and you've been able to identify the skill set that everyone has, right? Make sure that each person has an assigned goal. And when two people are assigned to a goal, nobody's assigned to it. Because there's no ownership.
No.
Once everybody has an assigned goal, guess what? You can't hide anymore.
That's so
because
important.
You know that you're the one responsible for this one thing, right? And then at that point, it's like there's so much visibility. And that's so to answer your question. So for this year, what I'm doing is I am taking that book. I am getting all my people to read the book.
Okay.
That's number one.
Okay.
And then number two, now that everybody understands and knows what's going on, you know, we're essentially going to set goals so that everybody knows what they need to do. Because with my mixer that I have coming up, I did everything.
I didn't get it right.
I didn't give you an invite.
Nah,
I know. I actually did. Cool. I put it on the chat. I put it on the group chat. But
must have came in slow.
You know,
I had signal.
The plan originally was to do it one, just one time. But then I had a lot of people show up. I got sponsors telling me like, "Hey, we want to do the next one," and I'm like, "Man, now there's a lot of pressure. Now I gotta actually," and I just kept thinking to myself, "Can I actually like be sending the email, be creating the flyers?"
No.
And I was like, you know what? Let's get a whole team, and that's what even like with Horizon, my advisory company as well. I'm building a whole team, and I'm making sure that everybody is aligned in terms of what the goal is, and everybody knows what their goal is and how their goal directly impact the overall company goal.
So I would say I agree with that. I say that one thing I learned. So I remember the book now. It was Atomic Habits.
Okay.
The second book is Who Not How. So you got to read that one. Those books changed my life because I was always up to my friend like, oh, how do I do this? How did he do this? Now every time something happens, I'm like, I'm not the first one who has a stop.
Yes.
Who can help me do this?
Yes.
I can't do this.
Yes.
Like I know what I'm good at.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't need to be good at everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You just need to know what the end result should look like.
Yeah. So I just go find.
That's part
I'm
of
like,
being
look,
visionary.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, another thing is like my job now is more to guide people to think for themselves. Like one of my staff members, I'm like, hey, I delegated it. You're in charge of this. Like you said, you're accountable for this. They're like, okay. So then I walk in and like, Doc, I'm just so burnt out. I'm like, why? I'm like, what happened? Well, she didn't do this right, so I was doing it. And I was like, that's your fault. I was like, you need to learn how to delegate. But they don't do it right. I'm like, okay. I was like, you see me delegate something. I let them do it wrong, and then I'm saying, oh, this is wrong. Go redo it.
Yes.
And then when they redo it 3 times, they don't do it because they think you're gonna fix it.
Every single
And so like, I was like, you. Me walking there for what? Like they're getting paid.
Yeah.
So every time somebody will mess up, you go in there and be like, here's how you do it. And I'm like, no, you just be like, okay, this is an example. Or I was like, just record yourself doing it once and have them do it. And if they mess up and I don't know, you're like, oh, okay, remember that video? Go through it again and redo it. I was like, I will literally be like, that's a good effort. Wow. Well, this is thoroughly wrong. We've gone over it before. Do you have any questions? No, I think I got okay to redo it. By the third time, like literally, they're like perfect in doing stuff.
You know how I know you're telling you're right? So obviously Tosin, you know, he's in the accounting field. When he first started doing my tax, it was always him, right? And I'm like, how is this guy not burned out? But then later on, I started seeing other people emailing me, and there was other people started doing my tax. I'm like, my man's leveled up now.
Man. You know what? Kickstarting this year, you know, we started off with a retroactive. Like we're looking back at last year and seeing like everything that happened, all the ups, the downs, the crazy, the good, the bad, and so on.
It was a tough year, huh?
Man, it was an interesting year, especially we had merged in another CPA
system.
I remember that.
You know, and that will be another episode.
All right.
Stay tuned. All right. But it was also a good year too because we got a lot of great people.
Yeah, you did.
I think I'm one of those lucky people that, I've got a great team. Got a great team of people that are just willing to, I call them my ride or dies.
Yeah.
So
You are lucky. You got four children horses.
Man.
They're going beyond the grind.
Build out it.
they actually, now it's more like, I think I've got like 8 or 10 of them.
He got a lot now.
And all of them, I told them, once you're my ride or die, you're going on my do not disturb. Like, you can break through any do not disturb or whatever, the favorite list. Sorry, that's what I meant. So as soon as they get on that list, they know, like, whatever they need, I got you.
Yeah.
All right. Because they are also willing to go that far for me too. So we've got a great team. It's just this year, one thing I wanted to do is to tell them, hey, we need to focus on building ourselves up.
Right.
All right. A lot of times, like you guys mentioned, everyone is looking towards the leader to fix everything.
Correct.
Is looking for the leader to resolve all issues, no matter how big or small.
Yeah, that's
but
too
these,
much.
like you said, these folks, number one, not only are they getting paid, but these people are skilled people.
They are. Exactly.
They're degreed, certifications, whatever.
Yeah.
And one of my goals is just to push them
Yes.
to resolve issues, not to
Never
do the
gonna
work,
learn
because
until
they
they
can
do
do
it.
the work.
Yeah.
But it's when there are issues
Problem solving.
or yes,
Oh
or
my
where
God.
they have to make
Every day.
a decision on should I do this way? Well,
They just call you. Why use the brain?
yeah.
Even in the past, when my team would call me, I would tell them, like, never come to me with an issue without a proposed solution.
Yeah.
I don't even want the issue anymore.
No, he said
Don't
at the
fix
beginning.
it.
Though. He said at the beginning.
Oh yeah, I mean, these folks are with us now for a while. Like they need to be able to gain that confidence to resolve issues with clients because, like you said, we're in the accounting field, and an error that we do usually shows up 2-3 years down the road. Right. So
You get out of it.
they have that pressure of, if I mess up today, Tosin's gonna come to me like three years later, like, yo, what's this letter that the client got? What you do? So
I gotta let now.
I hope not. So but still, they'll have to make those types of judgment calls, right? And no one's going to be perfect. Even me, I might make some of those errors, right? Whenever I'm dealing with a client, and it will come back in 2 or 3 years. So I can't say, oh, I'm perfect at it, so you guys got to be perfect at it.
Yeah.
Someone told me, as long as somebody else on your team can do it 80% good enough, it's good enough.
80% rule.
All right,
Yeah.
it's good enough. All
That's
right.
all you need.
Even you can't do it 100%
Okay, so
good.
do you, because, Pastor Conway, we go to one community. He said that if you have a business that you cannot step away for a week, then you don't have a business.
You don't have a business.
Right? Do you feel like you can step away?
Definitely, and my wife can testify. 2024,
Hey!
2024, she was like, man, I saw Tosin a lot. I don't know what was happening, but he kept talking about his team and all that stuff. I mean, it is the team, really. And I think they've also helped me get more into that level where I want to do more of consulting rather than getting into the weeds. So definitely, they've got it. Really.
You gotta lead. You gotta definitely develop them. That's like the biggest part of it. Because I tell them when they come up to me, I say, okay, so what's the issue? And that, well, doc, do we need to do this? I'm like, okay, so why would we do that?
Yeah.
Because you got to walk them through like the steps of like, well, I don't know. Well, just think. I'm lost. Okay, so I was like, put yourself in this person's shoe. What would you? Well, obviously, I want to. Well, there you go.
You got your answer. You know what? No, not everybody.
Sometimes
no. Not everybody likes that type of training.
No, they're fine. I let them do to me. Like we do a lot of role playing and stuff. And like in the beginning, they hated it. They're like, I don't want to be in the spot.
Or even it makes them feel like it's a little childish or elementary, It makes you feel like you don't like.
But the thing is, now they're like, man, when we used to do that stuff really helped me. That's why I got it like this. They're like, you need to do it with those new people. Because in the beginning, I was like, but y'all
is when they do it to other staff.
They were like, I hate it in the beginning, but I get it. It makes sense because because I was like, if you have a difficult issue, right? If you can't deal with me and we're pretending and all of us, we're all pretending. How are you gonna deal with a patient?
Yeah.
And they're real.
But let me ask you
and they're
guys-
mad, like for real mad. Like you should be able to like, hey, think if you were a patient, what would you want someone
Right.
to say to you? You want them to shut up and listen, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want them to acknowledge your pain,
Mm-hmm.
and you want them, then to talk to you and hear you out, right? Yeah. Do you want them to say, we'll call you back later? Yeah, we'll go talk to the doctor, like little stuff like that.
For
So
the audience that are watching that are also entrepreneurs and they're thinking about how they can be blessed to have people that they can call ride or die, in your words, right? What are you guys doing to invest in them so that you can take your hands off and you can have that confidence that things are still happening? Like, how are you guys investing in their growth?
So what we do now, we do a couple of things. I do toasting training Fridays, maybe a couple times a month. Yeah. So it's like anything you've ever wanted to learn, anything you ever wanted to learn that is in my head that you just want to pour out, no problem. Ask it. We'll do an hour. We'll record it. We'll invite the whole team and all that stuff.
Nice.
You can do that. That's number one. Also, that's another way to get out some of the knowledge that's stuck in one person's head, right? Because if I'm the only one that knows everything, I'm the only one that will have to be able to answer XYZ question. Yeah, everything.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Secondly, bringing them opportunities for learning and paying for it.
Yeah.
So
That's the key.
So, whether it's CPAs or whatever type of certification you have or license you have, you'll have to do some kind of continuing education, right? So there are opportunities to go out and learn. A lot of people do their continuing education like do it yourself, self-study, and stuff like that. But I'm encouraging them, let's go out to actual lunches and learn, or like the meet and greets where you do a little bit of continuing education and network and kind of use the muscles that you've learned, because you don't really know you're awesome inside your room behind your 3 monitors, and that's all you're doing your work. But when you go out there and you're actually talking to people, you actually notice that you know way more than everybody out there, right? I gave so there was this I don't know if I should be saying this, but there's a social media CPA guy that keeps talking. Actually, there are plenty of them. All right. So there are plenty of them. So one of them was doing a webinar one day. So I pulled in Meg, one of my tax managers, and I was like, bro, let's attend this thing. He's like, all right, no problem. He's like, what do you want me to go? I said, let's just attend it. This guy talks a lot, There's got to be something we are going to learn from this guy. And he was listening, and then we started listening to that. He's like, "What? That's not right. Like you've got to do. Yeah, that's kind of correct." I'm like, "Bro, you know way more than this guy that's got 2 million followers." I did that on purpose because I wanted to show him
your confidence.
to show him that you guys know this stuff.
Yeah,
you guys are good at this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Here's an example. You're here, rebutting, half of, well, it wasn't all, but half of what this guy is saying and so on and so forth, or tweaking it in such a way that actually will work for an XYZ client.
Right.
Bro, you're good. So that's kind of what we're doing.
How are you investing in your folks?
I mean, we had for me, I like people who take initiative. Like if someone tells me, I always talk to them. Well, what do you want to do? Like, are you gonna be here forever? Because like my job is to, whatever your dreams are, hopefully this will help you grow so you can achieve that. If it's doing something in here, that's great. But if you have to do something else, let's help you get there.
Yeah.
So some of them are like, I want to learn orthodontics. I want to do this. I want to do that. One person who worked for me said they wanted to learn orthodontist. Every opportunity I gave them, like, hey, we could do orthodontist. Oh, I don't know right now. Oh, this, that. Like just reasons to bypass. I'm like, why are you scared? You've seen me do it time and time again. And I brought somebody to work for me. She came and covered like a weekend, and she was like, and my other employee at the time felt like she knew a lot, and she was like, I know. And then she was like, I don't know anything. What do I got to do to be like her? And I was like, you just got to start moving. I was like, you spent 3 years kind of stagnant, and the last 8 months. You picked up so much. She's like, I don't know why I was like that. I was like, I try to motivate you, but I can't push you to do something you don't want to do.
Yeah.
Like once you were motivating, you saw like, oh, they earn this much and they get to do this much and they're moving 3 times as fast as me.
Yeah.
And they have, and she talked, because I made her come in. I was like, I want you to just talk to them because they're not, they don't see, they're so nearsighted, you know?
Yeah.
And then with that, I had another person who, and I tell them I play for a C if you want to do stuff. I had another person where I was doing my sedation permit so I can do IV sedation, all that stuff. And it was a long course. It was a recertification. So it was like a couple of months, I think like 2-3 months in Oklahoma, like 3 days a week, like all day.
Wow.
And I asked one of my assistants, I was like, hey, you said you always wanted to get this permit so you could do this, that, and that. And she was like, yeah. But she got a lollygag. And I had a brand new assistant who I was like, who's green. But everything I put her in, she was like, yeah, let's do it. I called her today, like a day I was like, hey, such and such pulled out, so we need other people. She's like, oh, I get to go. I'm coming. Like same day. I was like, well, I was gonna say you can come next month. She was like, I'll come to that one too. And so like, you know, like I was like, I just like that she wasn't scared to do anything. And they know I'll teach her. I tell them the only difference between me and you is the law. You can't drill no one's teeth, but you could know how to drill, like the concept behind it.
Yeah.
Everything else is like you should understand. So I'm like, you should understand the science behind it. I'm gonna tell you about the bacteria, give you the microbes. If you're interested, I'll even give you my book, and we'll talk about the all that stuff. We'll go over stuff in books and like almost like a study club. They're like, man, that's so much easier when you understand the why versus just going through it, just doing it.
Yes.
And so, you know, when people ask questions, they'll say things like, you know, I'm not the doctor, but this is what most likely is going on. We can confirm when the doctor comes on. Because, I mean, they've heard me say it a million times, and they know, for the most part, what's going on. They've read it in the books, and we've gone over it. And so I'm like, look, it's to the point where I had associate doctors coming in. My staff would be like, you're having trouble taking that tooth out. Well, Dr. Charles always uses this. You want to try that? You want to turn it on the mesial? Okay, and yeah, you're doing a good job. And like, maybe like rock it a little bit. Oh, I got it out. Yeah, like you did a good job. I was like, good job coaching them. Like my assistants will coach them through stuff when they're like shaky on stuff. But, you know, like I said, I'm like, look, if I think like one assistant's become a hygienist, the other assistant's become a dentist, the other assistant's become a specialist, and now she works in peds. So I'm like, obviously they're having fun there. My last assistant, as you know, left, and she went to a surgical center because she loved all the surgery you did.
Oh, really?
She left. She was like, I was like, you got my blessing. Where is it at? What do you need me to sign?
Yeah.
I don't want you to be mad. I was like, nah, man, I want you to win in life.
Of course.
If you found what you love, I'm happy to be a part of getting you there and putting you in a situation where you find something that you like. Because, you know, like that, what am I going to do? Be like, no, you can't go?
And that's the key. I think ultimately, you know, the people that work for you want to feel like you actually genuinely care about them, right? Before they can go above and beyond. For me, what I do is, you know, I have one-on-ones with my folks, and I'm asking them like, hey, what worked well? What didn't work well? And what is something that, you know, you want to do but you can't do? You know, what do you have the tools that you need to be able to perform your job?
Right.
You know, because some people feel like they're not equipped to do their job because they don't have the tools. And when you start to have these conversations, you know, you develop that trust, and ultimately you start to get a sense or a pause of, you know, what your team is like, and then you can start to make decisions that benefits them. But
yes, for sure.
So I think that should be pretty.
Yeah, we wrap this up.
Anyway,
some people are yawning already. You know.
but no, let's wrap up
Hear the conversation.
But let's just wrap it up really quickly. Anyway, that does it for today.
Edit that.
That does it for today. You have just listened to, obviously,
the business gist.
Yes.
No.
All right, that wraps it up for today.
Beyond the Grind.
You just listened to Beyond the Grind
On the grind.
by yours truly, K. Alan and Tosin.
That's right.
If you really enjoy what you've watched, please subscribe. What did they say? Like and share.
Yeah, like and share.
And yeah.
Comment below.
Like, subscribe, and share.
And click the alert button.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Little dingy thingy.
Nice one, man.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.